Hola, and welcome to this episode of the Everyday Jefa. I am your host, Bessie Martinez, and I am so grateful that you are here with us today because you are in for a treat. In March, for the last 3 years, during a event that is hosted here in the Austin area called South by Southwest, we have been hosting our own unofficial event called House of Chingonas. And so today, we are going to be bringing you one of those panel sessions for you to be able to watch or listen, depending on where you prefer, to be able to catch your content. And you'll be able to see exactly what kind of conversations Latinas are having during South by Southwest. If you've never come to South by Southwest, it is an amazing event to attend to. However, there is still room for growth when it comes to the Latino representation during festivals like this. That is why my foundation, the Latina Foundation, is so excited every year to be able to host this as many of other events throughout the entire year, but this one particularly because it brings people from all walks of life, from all parts of this country to sit down, have a conversation. So this year it was Nuestra Casa es tu Casa. And so we're so excited to be able to bring you this episode with this particular topic. So go ahead, sit down, grab your cafecito, grab your té, grab your comadres, and listen into the conversations that Latinas are having today. We hope you enjoy it.
So I hope you will join me for that. But I'm pretty sure you all are here to listen to the Chingonas that are coming up to this panel. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and invite Ms. Angelica Robles, Ms. Carla Pamenes, and Ms. Brittany Rodriguez up to the stage. Can we give them a warm welcome? Yeah. I'm gonna sit over here because I felt really far away if I was sitting over there. It's like, I mean, I know what que estamos en la casa and everything, pero like, no. So I am gonna go ahead and let the ladies introduce themselves, just because I could have just read off of here, but you know what? The words coming from the Chingonas or just is so much better. So I'm gonna start over on that side. Ms. Brittany, go ahead and introduce yourself. Let our morning guest here know who you are and what you do.
Yes, bienvenidos, Brittany Rodriguez. I couldn't be more privileged to be here with you today. If you ask me what I am, obviously my title dictates itself. I'm the CEO of a small business, Grit and Pearl Public Relations. Our job is to be storytellers. I'm the COO of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Our job is to advance the cause and advocate on behalf of Latinos, not just in the city of Austin, but statewide as well. But if you ask me what I truly am, I'm a connector. My job is to connect and to make sure that I build community. So I think I do a few things. My background is legislative. My favorite thing to do, however, is to connect with individuals belly to belly, heart to heart. So I'm thrilled to be here with you today. I'm a massive, massive fan of the Latina Foundation and the incredible work that Bessie is doing. And it's my privilege to, I think, speak with you in this forum, which affords us the opportunity and flexibility to speak more candidly with one another. Oftentimes I have to arrive as the consummate professional, and that's a privilege. Today, I look forward to meeting you as a human as well.
Buenos dias, Angelica Robles. I am a former undercover agent, best-selling Forbes published author. I own my own media company. I do podcasting, and I do it all. But what I want to really be here for is to touch, move, and inspire so that you could be the best version of yourself. So thank you for having me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carla Pamanes. I am a brand and web designer, brand design educator, but most importantly, I'm a single mom of a almost 13-year-old boy. I am an immigrant in this country, and I'm excited to share my journey with you today.
Thank you so much, amigas. And of course, we want to definitely thank the Greater Austin Hispanic Chamber for sponsoring this panel. I mean, that's one of the things about also giving back, right? Sometimes we do it with our time and sometimes we do it with our monetary exchange. And so we're super grateful. The Latina Foundation is a chamber member. And then I have the privilege of sitting on the board for the foundation side of the Hispanic Chamber as well. So We have a lot of other Latina events coming up soon this summer too, so please look out for that. We will be sharing that on our social medias. And thank you, ladies, for stepping in and showing up and saying yes. This is also the first time in the first year that we've opened up applications for panelists, activists, facilitators for this event. We had over 50 people apply. Usually it's all selected internally of the guests that we were going to have. And it was an overwhelming response. Just watching everybody get so excited. I think it's the first time I've ever gone virtual on social media, to be honest. Didn't realize how many of us wanted to, of course it's about taking up space, right? So being able to see that happen in real time and watch and read everybody's stories to me was just so gratifying. And so with that being said, my first question is really to any of you, just like the title, Power Without Permission. What does power without permission mean to you personally and professionally?
I can start. For me, power without permission means following your gut into what you know, what you want to do. Even before someone validates your idea or your dream. In my case, it starts from deciding that I'll be a creative in a house full of engineers. That my parents really want me to follow a safe path. And I think I feel proud of that version of myself who finally stepped into what I knew I wanted to do and decided to go against the safe route. Later on, after being laid off back to back, first after a merger, after being at a corporate for 10 years, and then after COVID, it was following my gut to go on my own and become self-employed, even though it was hard, and even though it's not the safe route. And so yeah, for me, it's making a decision and work for what you really want to do.
I think for me, it's very simple. I had to let go of fear of judgment to publish a book to talk about incest, to talk about what it's like to grow up as a Latina in this country, what it's like to work for a male-dominant government where the women don't exist and don't look like us. But the biggest thing for me was you have to leave people, places, and situations in the past for you to elevate to the levels that you're meant to be on. Because a lot of us Latinas are raised to say, ¿qué va a decir la gente? No digas eso, no hagas eso. And you have to let go of that idea so that you can raise to the levels that we're not supposed to be in, but we're walking into this world very, very beautifully and eloquently, and we have to be able to let go of fear of judgment. So, yeah.
No, please, the applause is due. I love the vision behind this panel, Bessie, because I think I've always lived by the philosophy that I will always arrive with a need for forgiveness in lieu of asking for permission in advance. It's the way I lived my life. But I also think that a lot of that has been informed certainly by a foundation and a legacy of family that's been built upon the backs of strong women who were not celebrated. Maya Grande is someone that comes to mind, lived and died all of her life, couldn't read, couldn't write, signed with an X. And it's never lost on me that opportunities like this and opportunities to connect with community members like you are underscored and have been provided by a pathway that was developed by someone who never could have dreamed that this would be a reality for someone to follow her. So I think that that measure of responsibility is always with me. It's ever present. But I also think it's a three-pronged approach. I think first, there is an inherent measure of mysticism that exists in our culture. It is to say that there is an intuitiveness to us. We feel. Somos familia, and somos familia because we feel each other. We see each other. And oftentimes we're too hard on each other. We judge each other. We have to work around that, ladies. And gentlemen, thank you for being here. But I will also say, it requires a measure of authenticity. And with authenticity requires, I think, a sense of vulnerability as well. You have to be well aware of who you are in the dark and in the light. And it requires a full acceptance of self to arrive in a space of truth. To say, I know who I am at my best, and I know who I am at my worst. And with that measure and awareness of self, There's nothing anybody can do that can hurt you. If you're aware of the best and worst parts of you, what can they possibly say? You can't hurt me, I already know. You're rude, yeah, sometimes. You're bossy, also that. I don't like the way you speak, I get it. I think it also just means I fully accept me, whether you do or not. And so arriving, I think, with that power requires a sense of self-reflection and really sitting with yourself in the spaces that are deeply uncomfortable. I've had to do that as a professional, as a person, and it's made me better. Whether personally or professionally, each has reflected. That dichotomy has strengthened me. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity to arrive in this space, but let me be clear, I also think that a measure that is required is truth-telling. A lot of our responsibility is to make sure that we're looking back on others who are looking at us and saying, boy, she makes that look easy. And we might, but we didn't always know how. And we have to say, I had to learn this, I'm still learning this. So it also requires, I think, a measure of honesty. So I think that arrival to power without permission means we had to walk through spaces where we were hesitant, we were tentative, we didn't know, we were unsure, we doubted ourselves when no one was looking, and yet we persevere.
And this is why I decided to do the first one. This is going to be a great conversation. With that in mind, Angelica, this question is for you. So your story is hitting Hollywood. Can we say yes to that? And oftentimes in Hollywood, and we all know that, we've all heard it, we've all seen it, the narrative gets taken away from us. Somebody else is telling our story. So what does it mean to take control of your narrative rather than letting others define it?
You know, you can't make the story up. And I know you guys are sitting here and thinking, why? Why is it going to Hollywood? So I was an undercover agent for the FBI and I married into the cartel. I did not know that my ex-husband was part of the cartel until he told me. But we watch a lot of Netflix and people think, how did you not know that there was millions of dollars under the floorboards and cocaine everywhere? That wasn't the case. He was doing the business for the cartel. So I went under a 7-week federal investigation. I went under a 7-week federal investigation because I had given my oath to the government. And so, of course, he was set free because it was hearsay. But what I learned is these great stories are meant to be told. And if you don't put yourself out there and you don't tell your story, nobody will ever know these stories. Like she said about her mom and the tire. And we all have a story. And again, it goes back to the fear of judgment, is we don't want people to know our downfalls, our limiting beliefs. And what happens is the great stories are made by pain that are turned into power and resilience. And us as Latinos trying to come to this country to be more and be bigger than what we ever thought possible. Now I get to tell my story, and it stems all the way back to Mexico, and it stems all the way back to the Pentagon. I am considered one of the best interrogators in the world, and I was flown to the Pentagon, and I was on the other side of the interrogation table getting interrogated, asking me why I married into the cartel. And I was like, I'm asking the same question. But it is going to be a movie. It's going to be a limited series as well. So Selena Gomez hopefully will sign up to play me because I really want her to be it. So everybody, por favor, rece por mí because we really want her. So yes.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, because I mean, these are the rooms that even 5 years ago, like you blink and we were just talking about COVID, right? We were just talking about how the world's shutting down, and that's probably the only time the entire world was going through the exact same thing, right? And so now here we are 5 years later. I get to sit with amazing women having this conversation, stepping into rooms that I never would have thought I'd be able to. And it's doing this. It's being to say, hey, this is my story and here's how it is. It's going to come out pretty. And it can also, I mean, I can show you all the ganas that I currently have. They came with the fast 5 years, but that's the reality of your story. Nobody's saying the good and the ugly. And the fact that you're just saying this is lived experience, and this is really truly what it looks like, that is amazing and beautiful just within itself. So thank you so, so much. Carla, this question is for you. So another person that's done Chingona things. Having built brands for HGTV and Discovery, what is the power of storytelling for you through design?
So for me, it's that design, it's beyond the aesthetics. It's storytelling itself. It's through how a brand looks and feels that evokes an emotion. And this is both with big and little brands, you know, even a personal brand. The way we show up, if it's done correctly, we'll be telling the right story. And I think my background comes from working with big brands, but what I take with me in my work is how I can bring this to the small business owner, where my heart is, because we all have a story to tell through our personal brand and through our businesses. And it's my pleasure to be able to build that gap into helping businesses and personal brands achieve this.
Thank you so much. Brittany, you wear dual hats, as I'm sure all of us do, right? We don't get paid enough because we don't get paid. I mean, we talk about already the gap of per dollar Latina gets in corporate America to the counterparts, right? We're not even putting into if you are a mom or the household, head of household, you are the nurse, the physician, the cook, the Uber driver. I mean, can we add up all those things? So, but you carry two roles simultaneously currently right now with the Greater Chamber and your company, but that comes with a lot of responsibility as well. So what does responsible leadership look like to you as you're navigating and building two positions simultaneously?
It has to begin with a great measure of gratitude. I think all too often we arrive in these spaces and we forget the people that made the pathway possible for us. And oftentimes, most times, that success is built in a very lonely way and very quietly. And I think we as a community have a tendency to normalize the exceptional work that we do that others come to expect of us. We are exceptional. I love what you said, Bessie. We do. You know, yes, I wear two hats. I'm dual C-suite, CEO of my own firm, Grit and Pearl Public Relations. The basis of our work is telling the stories of the clients that we love, who are creative, doing good and creating meaningful work for the greater good of the global community. It is our pride and privilege to make sure that we tell those stories appropriately. It is also my pride and privilege to serve as COO with the Greater Austin Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, representing the nation's largest and most impactful community and demographic. We're the most important electorate, in case you haven't been reminded. We're one of the biggest economic engines that there is, and we're the largest population. In spite of what you're seeing on the news, please understand how critically important you are. So the next time you start feeling badly about yourself, just remember how essential you are. For me, it's a measure of remembering the people that are making my job possible. I'm fortunate that my team of, at this point, 21 for Grit and Pearl Public Relations, they run my day-to-day. I'm really around in an approval and frankly spokesperson capacity at this point. They are my bread and butter, but they're also my heart. And I think for me, being measured in terms of that space of gratitude and also passing along. My background is legislative. I spent many years at the Capitol. I was a speechwriter for our current governor when he was the Attorney General. He was very different. But I will say, I worry about those photos surfacing because the affiliation matters and Latinas are going to look. And if there's a photo of me next to Greg Abbott, who he was, you know, back then, meaningfully writing his Latina wife into every speech, it was a very different conversation. We were very proud to support incredible legislation affording undocumented immigrants access to education equitably at universities. We were very proud to write in the diversity was a component that built our state and made it better. It's not that narrative now. let me remind you we're more important than we were then. But I think for me, making sure that I'm grateful to the individuals that make my life possible, that make my success possible, is critical. I don't sit here alone. I sit here with the predecessors, alive and past, sadly, who have made this possible, who lit a flame within me to believe I deserve to be here and I deserve to be so much more. And let me, assure you, I'm reaching my hand back for you as well. Because I can't walk this path alone. It's not a success if I'm not bringing someone with me. So I think I'm always keenly aware that I'm an example even when I don't realize I am. Someone is always looking. And my team is here, so I'm grateful for them, but they come to know me well. I got a temper. Let me be clear. My CEO knows this, my team knows this. I got a temper. And they see me at my best and they see me at my worst, but what they always see is they see me authentically. I hold myself to a measure of exceptional work, and I hold them to a measure that is similar but not the same. I will never hold them to a measure of exceptional that I know is not achievable, because I know what they're capable of. And maybe it's that idea that I'm now arriving in the Tia generation. We're the Tias now. It's my job to make sure that I show them, because I look out onto the leadership cohort that the chamber represents, Hispanic Austin leadership, and I just said that, and we are one of the top 7 leadership programs nationally. It is an exceptional space where we mindfully and intentionally develop the next generation of leaders. If you're Hal here today, will you raise your hand? Hal or Hala? Okay, so you are just but a few of some of our proudest work. I look out on the faces of the cohort participants, in the double digits that represent the who's who of the next up and coming aspiring leaders across the city and the region. And hindsight for me certainly is 2020, because I think, my God, what would I have done? What could I have done if I would have been in their seat? I would have done this. I would have asked for a cafecito here. I would have gone to lunch with this person. You can't know what you don't know. But my job is to inform and make better those who don't know what they can ask for. And so I hope what I do is I represent an example for those who may not even know. I do love that there's someone in the audience today that's a child. Start normalizing these spaces of exceptional Latina leadership, because when we're raised in those spaces to expect it of ourselves, it's all we come to become. I mean, it's what we expect that we'll be. And so living it, embodying it, yes, arrives with a measure, I think, of imposter syndrome. We all have that. Please know that now. Me too. Same. But I also think that the more you walk, the more you talk, the more you begin to understand someone is looking, and it's your responsibility to show them what's possible and to bring them along. So I start with gratitude.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And even sometimes within the word gratitude itself, right? Some of us were raised in saying, there's no room to complain, right? We have to be in gratitude for what you have in front of you. You can't crying, kick and scream and stuff because you have this and this person does it, right? So there's always that side of the coin. But I think there's a different sense to how that gratitude comes into play, because I think it's on an individual basis versus the collective, the way we were taught collectively to think of. And so every day I wake up in gratitude. The first thing I say in the mornings is, I'm so grateful for this day. One, we're already winning. I'm going to quote the mighty pit bull here and say that, he said 6, feet above ground is already a good day. And the fact that we woke up today, our eyes peeled open, we're already winning. The rest of it is really, truly as we choose it to. So this next question is for you, Carla. You have made your motto to be that to become that person that you wish you would have seen, right? So a lot of the things that I say in a lot of the media that's out there for interviews for myself is, I'm just creating something that I wish I would have had when I was younger, that I wish my mother would have had when her and I came to this country, when the only language we had was Spanish, and that was about it. All of this is for that. So with that being said, how does that guide your leadership as you're building your business?
For me, it's grounded with the idea that I didn't see someone like me. in my industry. And I decided like I want to become that person for others through education, through my clients, through how I lead also as a mom. So it was important to me to not gatekeep what I've learned. For me, the way that I lead is just showing the path for others to make it easier for them. It took me way too long to get where I am today, and I realized it didn't have to be that long. And for me, it's giving that path to others to make it easier for them also to see in me what's possible for them as an immigrant, as a woman, as a mother. So yeah, it's also rooted in my dad was an educator, and when he passed away, I saw the impact he had in others beyond his job as a teacher, and that was really important for me to keep up his legacy of teaching and serving others, because we just never know how even the little things can impact in a big way on others.
Thank you so much. Angelica, one of the things that Latinas, when sharing the narrative or the stereotype for Latinas, is that we are too much. We are too spicy. We are too sexy. We are too bold. We are too chingona. The two comes up way too much, in my opinion. So for those that are still battling that they are too much to take up space and to ask for permission, what is your advice to them?
I would say take up all the space that you can. All of it. Yes. And don't look back. And wear the red lipstick. You know how many times I was told in government that you couldn't wear red lipstick because it was too llamativo? And I would still do it. And I would get written up for it. And I didn't care. I said, I'm a woman. I'm going to wear the red heels. I'm going to wear the red lipstick. And I don't care what anybody says. So do it. Don't think about it. Because it's when you think about it that you don't do it. So it's like Nike, right? Just do it. Because how many times they tell us, no, don't wear all this jewelry and don't wear the heels. They make too much noise. Estás atrayendo mucha atención. That's why we're here. God made us in our beautiful self to attract. We are multipliers. Us as women, we are made to multiply. We grow human beings out of ourselves. So in rooms, you are going to multiply, you are going to elevate, and you are going to continue to be the best version of yourself, because there's only one of you. There's only one of you. So take up the room.
Thank you. And that's exactly what we're doing during South by. So one of the questions we get asked is, why is this an unofficial South by? And for those of you that don't know, there's a lot of unofficial South by events. So I am one of those that I read contracts, because you should read everything in fine print as long as it takes you. And the first thing it said is that although, yes, we want to encourage badge holders to come in, it's not accessible to my community. And that was kind of the number one rule, is we had to allow them first dibs into the space before the rest of us. And I said, I think we can do unofficial. Everybody else is doing it. Why can't I too? So, and if you can't see it or find it, you create it. And that's exactly always been my motto for the last 5 years. And so that's why we're an unofficial event. It's for us to continue to be there for the community and show up and take space in South by, which is one of the largest festivals in the Austin area. Brittany, this question is for you. Being as a public figure in the community specifically, it comes with a lot of eyes. So how do you protect your peace? I wear my ojo stuff. I mean, I don't have the red one. My mother, I outgrew that one, but I've changed into the. How do you protect your peace, both as a leader, but also as a person and a human being?
You know, I think I had to come to this conclusion first through a lot of work. I had to have my heart broken professionally to get to a space where, frankly, and again, I told you I got a bit of a temper, I got really angry. And out of that anger was birthed one of the best versions of me that I get to enjoy today, and meeting her is such a pleasure. I also think this is the great joy of really hitting your mid-30s. You get to this space where you start meeting yourself in a new way entirely, and what a pleasure it is. I had to get to a point through that anger where, frankly, in spite of what others told me, I was going to show how good I was. I was going to show my credibility, my capabilities, and what I was able to achieve. So I'm grateful. Now I'm incredibly grateful for that opportunity. And they say you're healed when the thing that almost broke you receives your thank you. I'm there now. So I think it had to be birthed first through that, but I think it was also accompanied with the understanding that I have the beauty and the privilege of speaking in front of thousands. I've spoken in front of thousands. I've taken large stages, small stages. I've spoken in front of community leaders, up and coming legislators, you name it. And that's all fine and dandy. People are just people. The title is great, but they are just humans. And they put their Chingonas on just like you do every day. So remember that. It normalizes the conversation a great deal. But what I'll say is I began understanding that in speaking to rooms, whether 100 or 8,000 or 20,000, there would be 20,000 opinions of me, none of which were my business. None of which were any of my business. That's yours. And I respect it. It's your autonomy. So I began arriving simply as myself. And I began understanding that in spite of the perception, this is who I am. And my job is to continue to refine that to my liking. But separately, I think what I also had to do was understand that in that giving of self, which is the ultimate measure of generosity, I can't arrive in any other way other than honestly. Let me assure you that after I complete this conversation, we'll network, I'll give you my card, we're going to connect, and that means a great deal to me. I will also have to spend the duration of the day at home recharging. Because while I'm an extrovert, my best work is done when I go home and just sit in the quiet. I'm an only child, so I need that recharge time. And I, as a dual C-suite executive, I am fiercely protective of that time. My team will tell you that. My friends will tell you that. My family will tell you that. If I pour endlessly from an empty cup, I've got nothing to give. But most importantly, I'm now at a point in my life where I unapologetically must ensure that there's something left for me. My job is to give for others, to advance for others, to represent others, but I have to take care of me first. I love you, but I love me more. And I had to get unapologetic about that. And I think Monica made some really strong comments. As Latinas, we have a tendency of putting ourselves last. That a whole idea, that concept of marianismo. Well, go make your husband a plate, go make your boyfriend a plate, whomever, your girlfriend, whatever. They can make their plate. Focus on yours first. Make sure you're feeding yourself first. Make sure before you fill everyone else's cup, and no, it's not selfish. It's not selfish, it's self-care. We have to take care of ourselves first, and it's okay to do that. So I think that idea that if we're giving too much, that's what we should aim to do. That whole martyrdom thing, that's not cute. That's not cute anymore. Our mothers did that. And as Monica said, if we do that, we end up exhausted. So I'm fiercely protective of the private. And I'm fiercely protective, I think, of myself in my absolute unapologetic arrival as being authentic.
Thank you. So I've already been cued. I'm going to ask one last question. This wouldn't be Latinas leading new economy if we didn't talk about the dinero. So the last question I'm going to ask all of you is, what advice for Latinas who struggles to still charge their worth, what would your advice be to them?
For me, it's to focus on the worth that you bring on the table beyond before your self-worth. You need to know your expertise and what you bring in. Also, it's so important you're setting the bar for other people. So if you underprice, you're setting the bar for other women to undercharge. So I think it's important to honor our expertise and charge what we're worth.
For me, it's even simpler than that. Just look at yourself. Nobody looks like you in this room. In the rooms that you're walking into, you're probably the only one that looks like you. So you are already a rarity. You're already a diamond in the rough because you're walking in and you're the only inclusion in that room and you look different. So just because you're a rarity, walk in that element and walk in that energy and power because you're one of one. You're one of a kind. So for me, it's very simple. So yeah.
I wish I was taking notes because these are all such great points. What I like to remind myself of when I walk into rooms, oftentimes, and there are a lot of folks who know me in this room, I tend to make people a little bit uncomfortable because I like to touch the thing that nobody else touches. And some of the work that I do is focused on infrastructure and transportation. And if you're visiting us in Austin, or if you're here, all the time, you experienced the infrastructure that we have underway. Major work on 35. You're at the airport. Sorry. We have a major light rail, system coming in. Our convention center's going up all concurrently while you're enjoying this city. And as I arrived at the tables where the decisions were being made as a strategic advisor to the C-suite executives at the helm of the decisions that were influencing these projects, I began to understand exactly who my competition was. And in practice and principle, what we're told is that from a cultural standpoint, we must work harder. We must work longer. Our value is tied to how much we put in and the time that we're willing to give, even if it means we don't put our kids to bed at night, we don't see them in the morning because we're gone too early, you name it. It's about sacrifice. And if you sacrifice more, how worthy you are. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that because if I look at the numbers, and Monica, our CEO, mentioned it earlier, as a Latina executive, I represent but 1% nationally. As the largest population, that is a dismal statistic. There should be so many more of me, and I'm working in real time to ensure that that is the case, that women know that they deserve these spaces because we are brilliant in all of our diversified and varied understanding of what matters, whether it's how we care for the people that work for us, how we arrive in rooms with great connectivity to communities they can't access, or just in the simple recognition that the generations that have preceded us in power are dying off, and that's okay. Because who is my largest competition? It is a 65-year-old plus white male. And if his time ends at 5 p.m., why shouldn't mine? I'm rarer. So my 9 to 5 is just as valuable as his. And you're right, the wage gap is dismal. We are the lowest earning demographic nationally. To every dollar of a white male, I believe the statistic is, it's like 66 cents. That is unbelievable. The contribution that we make alone should inform that we receive so much more in being the largest population in the future workforce that we represent. But I think to that end, what I recognize is why would I work longer and harder? It isn't about quantity, it's about quality. The quality of my work begets that I'm thoughtful of my hours because I'm just as deserving of my off time because I'm willing to celebrate the exceptional work I do from 9 to 4:58. So please remember where your time matters because I want to make me proud at 85. And the things that will make me proud at 85 are the moments when I could be available to my mother when she had a colonoscopy, or when I could be available to my father to celebrate his retirement, or to just get away and go enjoy a beach, because as a community, we have a hard time just enjoying a vacation. So I like to remind myself of what my counterparts are and what my competition is. What is a 65-year-old plus white man doing? That's what I'm gonna do.
Ladies, it has been an honor and a pleasure to sit up here. And I know we could sit here all day, but the other Chingonas also need to take up space too in here. I also want to let you all know Angelica's going to be out at a table with her book. If you have any questions, you want to continue this conversation, she is out there to answer all your questions. Get to know her, get to know both of them. So follow them on social media as well. We're going to take a 5-minute break, but come back for our next panel. We're super excited. And again, chicas, bendiciones. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking up space here at House of Chingonas. And can we get a picture? I don't know who my picture person is.
Escribí lo que sentía y lo arruiné. Te dije que no te amaba y lo arruiné. Sabiendo que cuando te iba solo quería gozarte. Bueno, se me fue. Y me trajo. Es que